Byron Bowers. Please welcome to the stage, director Alma Har'el. Please welcome to the stage the amazing Noah Jupe. Please welcome to the stage the spectacular Shia LaBeouf. He's coming. So in the meantime, I got to see this movie at the Sundance Film Festival in January, which feels like just yesterday, right?
Well,
oh my God.
For me it was
he's turned into a teenager since
a lifetime ago. Sundance World.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up again for this spectacular Shia LaBeouf.
Hey, thanks for coming to see it.
We are talking about the premiere at the Sundance Film Festival and what that was like for all of you. I mean, you know, Alma, this is your first feature directing. Shia, it's your first screenplay feature, and of course, a very, very personal story. Yes. What was it like for all of you to be there at Eccles, 1,500 people, releasing such a deeply personal movie like this?
No, you're good with the shit,
yeah,
right?
no, you're good. Yeah.
Cue, that's your cue.
Okay. I mean, I don't have words for it. It's not something that
you always have words for it.
No, honestly, in this situation, this is one time I don't. It's not something I can technically describe. Apart from that, I never felt anything like it before. It was a positive feeling, I assure you. But you know, it was definitely like, yeah, I was just kind of blown away by it.
Yeah, I was also just, I don't know, really kind of present, actually, not panicky, just very present and kind of waiting to share it. Then I saw Noah bawling and crying, and then I lost my shit.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
How about for you?
I like these little holsters you got in these chairs.
Yeah, these seats are great.
Pretty good seats. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by this whole thing. Obviously, as you can imagine, this whole thing's been quite overwhelming. Hard to really articulate other than whoa. Sundance is a bit like a yard sale, so hard to enjoy it because it's very business heavy. But nice to see Alma flourish there. Know my girl is on. Know my friends are on. Know that you know, we had a lot of pressure on us to make it, and the majority of the reviews were pretty good. So my dad would read it and feel pretty good. So yeah, just positive and overwhelming and hard to articulate.
How about for you, Byron?
It was amazing to be present with 1,500 people as they went on this emotional roller coaster, you know, and I waited to see the film into Sundance, so I was there with them, and I remember looking like a seat in front of me and seeing Alma, see Noah cry, they start crying, and then like, you know, I'm looking at Shia and he like,
Shia's mom.
yeah, like so, and we all went down and it was a beautiful moment, you know.
You know, the two of you, Alma and Shia, have known each other for a few years. But what made it the right thing to do for you to work together, for you to direct from his screenplay and have him star in the film?
You know, just the fact that it was, the way it was written, and you kind of see it in the film, but really it couldn't be more real, that it was really written inside this rehab/mental health, you know, facility where he got diagnosed with PTSD and sent it to me from there, and just reading it and feeling like so intense about it, and it was so raw and real and full of love and pain, kind of, and the back and forth, and just his writing really struck me. It was just like one of the best things I've ever read and probably ever will read. And knowing where he was at and wanting to tell his story, and also just wanting to kind of somewhat tell my own story, because I am also a child of an alcoholic, and although my father is very different and the circumstances were different, it's just that kind of responsibility that you have as a child when you live with somebody unpredictable or somebody that is addicted, and you're kind of almost have to be the adult, but at the same time you constantly kind of, you know, struggle with your own childhood. It was really kind of, it seemed like the most, you know, urgent thing I could do, and I had to just put everything I was doing and go for it. And just loving Shia, you know, too. Just a lot of love.
just, Shia, your performance in this movie is a tour de force. It is performance of your career. Now, just by any measure, it's a tour de force performance, but there's also the added uniqueness of it that you are playing a character who's basically your father.
You're good at this. You're very
Yeah,
good at this.
yeah,
You're taking pauses and everything. You're very slick with this.
I did my homework.
You're very slick. You're very slick.
But what were the challenges to really just give it your all like that?
Well, letting people in. I think, I was quite closed off walking in, and, on the page you're getting naked. And then a lot of people are asking questions, and some of those questions don't have answers. I think that was probably the hardest thing, is that people think you come out of this PTSD type thing, shit is solved. And shit's not solved. I'm still working on it on a day-to-day basis. I'm an alcoholic, that's a day-to-day thing. So it wasn't like I walked out as, fucking Captain Planet and I got the ring and I got it just wasn't like that. So, and having a lot of people, I'm not good at multitasking and I'm not like super social on the set, but when you're in a situation where, the subject matter, you're like the expert on the subject matter, but you're also trying to have selfish time to be able to like bond with your boy. And, it's like, it's hard just getting taxed, like having people ask you all these questions constantly. Like, I'd be with him, and then, here comes Lucas, wonderful actor, but totally invested, totally immersed in it, all these questions, and you're trying to give him everything you know, and you actually don't know the answer to his questions, or prop guy comes in, he says this or that. And just small things like that will just take you off of your wave when you're trying to like just play magic cards, which is how we really bonded. Magic the Gathering? It's a great game.
But what were some of the other ways, because Noah, your performance in this film
Brilliant.
is absolutely brilliant. It's the truth. I mean, I swear. And like, it's not just the bonding; it's the building of the trust. Because there are quite a few scenes in this film that get quite heavy. So how did you build the trust?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. It's just, honestly, this was a testament to kind of time spent. And it was that sort of thing where the first stage I was like, yeah, I'm going to be turning up at your house every day. I'll be like, we'll hang out so much. And I was like, yeah, he'll make these things and it won't actually happen. But it did. Like, he would turn up at my house 8 a.m. every morning. We'd juggle, we'd play Magic the Gathering, we'd run through like the whole script. We'd walk, we'd go on walks, we'd go, we'd go watch Avengers Infinity War. I took him to see, which was funny. He loved it. But
It's okay.
I was rooting for it.
Did you see Endgame?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, go ahead.
But anyway, it's so just kind of like hang out with him, and also just building a friendship and that trust for us. Part of it was just because I love Shia and I love being with him, and I think he loves being with me. I'm not quite sure. But it was that thing of we were just building a relationship as friends and not worrying about building the trust for the character. And so when we got on set, we were like, whoa, the trust is there because we spent all this time together. And actually, that's big thanks to Alma a lot. She got me in like a month early to make sure that I was kind of felt safe with everyone here, and I did, and that was a big part of my performance, was feeling safe and being able to risk, and that was down to the kind of relationship with these guys.
So when you finally did get going on filming, Alma, what point during the filming process did you film the scenes with Byron and with Lucas Hedges?
We actually started the film with Lucas and Byron. I think the second day, we filmed this whole film in 19 days. So
19 days.
Yeah.
So it was grueling. I mean, I can't tell you how time stretches when you do something like that. I thought it would never end, and it went so quickly. It was the same thing at the same time. But yeah, the second day of the shoot was basically Lucas doing all the therapy scenes that you see in the film in one day.
Wow.
Which was absolutely, it was very, very taxing on him, first of all, but everybody. I think it was just really just a kickoff to what we're about to do, and everything got amped up once we moved into the motel, which was like a lot of the first week. We did it's also a lot of the visual stuff and a lot of the stuff with Lucas that kind of sets up the world, you know. But and the stuff with Byron, we're in the few more days and the few first days, and then we just like kind of walked into the motel and stayed there for 11 days, which were just I can't even believe how much went down in those days emotionally. It was really, yeah, a testimony to these guys that they could pull it off, you know, such a big amount of pages, but also just to deal with such traumatic material. And obviously, it's not an easy film, but it's also a funny film sometimes. And just to go between those ups and downs together was pretty tricky.
You know, so you filmed your scenes with Lucas first, and you're kind of setting the stage, setting the tone. What was the challenges with that, especially because you were starting, and also what was it like to work with Lucas?
The challenge was like how to authentically sleep after waking up to prepare to sleep, you know. And I didn't know I would do that. I got like a lot of rest for my big day tomorrow. And they showed up and they wanted me to sleep. And I was like, God damn. And working with Lucas was amazing because I felt like I was working like we were like partners or some sort. Like we was able to communicate non-verbally and beat. You know, he was Otis and I was Percy, and we let the relationship develop. And you saw us meeting for the first time when he walks into the into the place, and I'm like, who the hell is this dude? And then we became roommates, and then like actually becoming friends, which is something we all kind of go through out here, unless you meet your roommate on Craigslist.
Alma, you were talking about how, you know, so many scenes inside the motel, you know, between the two of you, Noah and Shia. How much of all that did you sort of get to improvise with? And also, the thing about those scenes is it really runs the gamut of emotions, because some of the scenes are really quite tender and sweet, and then there are other scenes that are not. So what was it like to shoot those scenes, especially in such a fast-paced schedule?
I mean, it was a mixture of it. Like, there wasn't one thing. I mean, first of all, they ran through it for a while, so they kind of knew what it is when they walked in, but then they just took off. So it would be, you know, we would do like, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 takes sometimes of certain scenes, and sometimes each take would be different. They would find things, or they would like really juggle, and like things would happen, or the ball would fall, and they would just play with it and react to it and keep going. As if, you know, there was no like, you gotta hit that mark and like, you got, let's cut because that didn't work, and do it exactly again like it was in the script. There was none of that. Shia was not ever attached to the script. It was always free, and just kind of them, you know, jamming and dancing and jazzing. You know, there were a few scenes that obviously were harder than others, and those were just extremely painful to film, and to watch, and to be thrown into it, and yeah.
What was the hardest scene for the two of you to film?
For me, probably the kind of scene. I call it the monologue scene. Just like, you know how you have I just develop names for scenes that somehow so I can remember them, but I call it the monologue scene. It's the scene where
in the chair.
Yeah, in the chair, and I kind of confront my dad and tell him how I feel, but then it ends up being in my head, and then I actually can't confront him, and it's very different to how I worded it in my head. And that scene was just, it was the last day that we, you know, we kind of climbed the mountain already, and I was ready to be finished, as we all were, and this was kind of a very important scene to me, and yeah, that was tough. That was a tough kind of emotional ride that I went through in that scene.
What about for you, Shia? What was the hardest scene for you?
I'll just speak to that, but it's because there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, because we saved it for the last minute, and because me and you we couldn't connect. I'm sleeping, you're by yourself. It's like a solo performance. Whereas the rest of the movie we're with each other.
Yeah.
So much of my performance is like looking in his eyes and feeling him, because you're scratching scabs that don't bleed anymore. You know, you already put it on paper. You got financing from these people. There's trucks. There's craft service. It feels like a fucking celebration, you know. So it's hard to get back to the pain because you're in the middle of this celebration, this craft, you know. Like, I'm sure there's filmmakers in this room. Once you get your movie up and running, it's like, ooh, fuck, this is awesome. Or, you know, any artist in this room, once you're in the process, it's a celebration, even if it's heavy and hard. So it's hard to get back to the pain part. So, yeah, scenes where we had to like dive into pain, stuff like that, or, you know, like monologuing when it's just one of us kind of playing solos as opposed to the banter. So he had his monologue in the chair while I'm sleeping, and I had some kind of monologue like that when I'm coming back from being high, sitting on the toilet.
Yeah, that was the hardest.
And I would say, yeah, for both of us, hard for the same reasons, because there's all this narrative pressure, where this is where the script, you know, turns the knob, and because you can't rely on your dance partner, you're having to do like pirouettes by yourself. So we're hard for the same reasons, just because we don't have each other, you know, you can't interject.
You know, Noah, I want to ask, like, you had come off of a movie called A Quiet Place, which is an amazing film, and to make Honey Boy. So what was the difference between working on like a big production, you know, studio Hollywood film like A Quiet Place, and going into shoot something real guerrilla style, almost like Honey Boy?
To which movie? No, it honestly, with this job, no job is the same, and you kind of sign up to this to be surprised and to be kind of put out of place and to be kind of in the deep end and kind of thrown in the deep end. And in both of these movies I was, and I mean you can't compare them in that sense that you know, the characters were both equally, I delved into them equally, and on A Quiet Place there was that family dynamic, and like this one, and then there was that sort of thing of having those safe people around you, and because we were on like number 10 the whole time, we're running from these like monsters and stuff. So that was hard in itself, and there were the hard parts of The Quiet Place, and the hard parts of this, and yeah, I don't know if they're almost similar in that sense, but so different.
Long story short, ours was a better set to be
No.
Come on. You were lobs and alley-oop.
So before you started filming, had you met everyone in the cast?
I didn't. I met Lucas. I seen, or he came to see my comedy a few times, so I knew who he was, but I didn't even meet him. I met Otis. You know, he was already beefed up, working out, just pacing real fast. You know, in and out. You know, so it wasn't until like TIFF, you know, that I was like, oh, this is who Lucas really is. And then I knew everybody else was just in the zone. Like, I was the last to get on board, so I figured that everybody like was deep into their character and deep into who they was. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta learn how to knit real fast.
Well, like, so when you see the film and it's all cut, you know, edited, which is really where the film comes together in editing, and you see how it's non-linear, and you see your scenes interweaving with theirs. What was it like to see the whole picture, and what impressed you the most about the performances from Noah and from Shia?
When I saw it, I like, oh, I was funny. I was going for serious, and I defaulted to funny. So that was, and then everybody said it was needed, and I was like, oh, okay. And then to see these two perform, I get to see it with words, because when I would pop on set and watch it through the monitor without words, and I would feel a certain way. And sometimes I like to watch stuff, just look at it and see what people are saying without dialogue. And I still was emotional. And then when the dialogue was added and when everybody in the theater was added, it just heightened everything. And I had to go on that ride, and I had to get triggered, even with, my dad was an addict also, but he did crack instead of alcohol because he had a gluten allergy. Yeah, I got emotional with everybody in the theater, So yeah, and I read a linear script, and they turned out like they mixed it up, and it became a story. I thought the story would be lost, but it wasn't. It became more beautiful,
So how is that what happened? Like it was going to be a third act just with older Otis, and it became non-linear?
Yeah, it was. It opened with Noah in the pie, and then just kind of went through that whole part of the story. First, second act, third act was like Lucas on the set, and then went through all of that. So it was written like that, and then at the end they met. But when we got into the editing room, I just felt like you had to know the consequences first, and also wanted to really kind of capture this idea of going backwards and trying to figure out how did you get fucked up and what happened and how did your wires get crossed between love and pain and pity and all of these things that can confuse you and make you think that that's the only way to live and make art and be in relationships and all that stuff that happens to people that have to figure out their trauma. So I think that structure just worked better, and it was more genuine to how it was written.
Shia, I want to ask, how did making this movie, writing it, acting in it, seeing it through its fruition from Sundance to now, how did that get you back on track, get your relationship with your family back on track?
Yeah, well, me and my dad weren't talking at all. I hadn't talked to him in 7 years before this started. I probably wouldn't have talked to him if this didn't. The whole motivation behind me connecting with him was my creative life. I needed his life rights. It wasn't even about I need a dad or I need a friend. I was still on some resentment kick and still had still wasn't trying to be his buddy. So really it was like fake it till you make it. We're in a good spot now, but I was holding on to it. I thought that was the only way to work, like what she was saying. This old 70s myth of you gotta bleed on camera basically. This was the myths that I grew up with. And then working with dudes like this and working with dudes like Lucas, you see guys working a different way, more technically savvy, more readily available, emotions readily available. This dude flips switches, just flip them back off. I have a hard time doing that. But being around guys who can, makes you feel hopeful about things that you can implement into your own craft and start moving different as a creator. I got my relationship with it's also the most loving set I've ever been on. And maybe it's because of the material, but I just felt super loved on, just in the middle of a constant hug from everybody. It was also the crew. The crew had been assembled from 20 years of me doing this, so you got crew from even Stevens, and crew from Transformers, and crew from Constantine, and crew from all this movies that you had done throughout the course of your life.
Our line producer, David Grace, on this film was the line producer of Even Stevens.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and knew Shia's dad. And that was a constant thing that people would be kind of tripping on while we were shooting this. This was going on, and they didn't know either.
So you have a behind the scenes movie of just a minute of hugs on this set?
Yeah, there is. It's a lot of hugs. Christine edited that actually. It's like the most huggable and kissable set ever.
Yeah.
I kind of decided not to put it up it felt like each hug meant something, and when they were all together, it just felt like a commercial. But there was a constant need to hug each other, I think, that came out of the work too.
Wow. What was it like for you the first time you got all made up, the hair, the glasses, and looked in the mirror?
Oh, I was just giggling. That giggle where, I don't know, where there's just a known. It's just so known, you just start giggling. It's just so right that you giggle. And I was in there with squad that I had been with and knew my dad. So they knew also. So it was just like a giggly ass room. just giggling, and then a long stare, and then like getting lost, and a little bit of mind fuckery, and taking pictures and sending them to my pop, you know, giggling, you know, just like that known giggle, like here we go kind of thing.
Now, what did you learn from Shia as an actor, and what did you learn from Shia just about
Be nice.
about life?
I mean, Shia is a truth seeker, so I guess to pursue the truth as much as possible at any point possible, and to always, you know, seek it out in your performances in life. But yeah, just stay true to yourself as well, because you're one that you have to live with for the rest of your life. So.
Man, something a 50-year-old would say.
Right?
What's that supposed to say?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just three quick announcements. First, you can stay seated while we exit so we can bolt to another thing. Second is this movie is now in theaters, so you know, make sure that you tell people, spread the reviews by going on social media. Go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if you're still using MySpace. Totally fine. The third thing is this, Shia. So, Honey Boy, amazing reviews. Last I checked, 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Your other film this year, hang on, your other film this year.
Fuck that other movie, Honey Boy, let's go.
The Peanut Butter Falcon. All right. Has made more than $20 million, making it the highest grossing independent film of 2019.
These are really important stats right here.
So, I hope you're feeling the love.
I do. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much.